Today, Mom's going to make you some delicious apple fritters. Let's go ahead and get started.
When I go into a bakery, I look at all of the stuff that are made with yeast, and I think how hard that is to work with some of it. Today with this apple fritter recipe, there's no yeast to let rise, and I'm going to show you how I make apple fritters. I have cut 2 medium apples up into tiny little chunks, and they're probably about 1/4 of an inch. They're not real little, but yet they're pretty small. And I have put them on paper, and then I have blotted them dry. And the reason that we do that is we don't want them to lump up and stick inside our fritter, because they don't cook good like that. All right. To begin with, we're going to add to this bowl 2 cups of all-purpose flour. One-third cup of granulated sugar. And I'm going to mix that just a little bit. And the reason we're going to mix that together is because now we add the apples. By adding the apples to the flour mixture, we keep the apples from clumping, and they will be more distributed throughout the apple fritter. Now this looks like a lot of apples. It only came from 2 medium apples, and we used a Yellow Delicious apple on this. You can use Granny Smith if you like something that's just a little stronger. I like cooking with the Yellow Delicious, so that's what I used. And then I'm just going to kind of toss them around, get them all coated with the flour. That doesn't take very long. Okay. And to that mixture, then I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/2 teaspoon of apple pie spice. Now you can put nutmeg instead of the apple pie spice if you like it. I'm just not a big favorite. That's not a favorite flavor of mine, nutmeg, so I sometimes will substitute apple pie spice or a pumpkin pie. You can put pumpkin pie spice in there. Kind of mix that up. Then we're going to put 1 tablespoonful of baking powder. One teaspoon of salt. Apples is something that actually takes a lot of salt. You don't think about it, but when you add a little salt to your sweet stuff, it kind of brings out the flavor just a little bit more. Okay, and as you can see, those apples are pretty well coated. They're not sticking and lumping together in one spot, and that's just how we like it. I have taken 2 eggs here, 2 large eggs, and I've beaten that up. 2 tablespoonfuls of melted butter, in which I let that cool just a little bit so it wouldn't cook my eggs. We don't want a cooked egg in there just yet anyway. Pour that into your flour mixture. And to that I'm going to add 3/4 cup of a spiced apple cider. And then we're going to mix that together. Okay, we have heated our oil to 350, and we're going to dip this by a little cup here. It's about 1/3 cup full and that's what we're going to slowly drop into that. And as it cooks, you need to take the top of a spoon and kind of mash it down. Okay, I have prepared a pan over here. I've put a cookie sheet with just a little paper towel underneath there with my cooling rack. And whenever I bring these out, that's what I'm going to put that on and let them drain. Just going to dip down into my batter. Kind of drop it in. Be sure that you've got your heat up to 350. And you just drop it in kind of slow. One thing you'll notice about apple fritters, they're strange in size and shape. So it's a good idea to just kind of mash them a little bit. There's a little piece that got away from me. I'm just going to take that out. I'll eat that later. Now it usually takes about 2 to 3 minutes on each side for them to get fully cooked. If you do not have your oil hot enough, they soak up a lot of oil. If you've got that at least 350, they're not oily at all. You can kind of check there every now and then. That one looks like it's just about done. Isn't that a pretty color? And that one, that's just because I wasn't very good at dropping it in. So we'll keep it in there. I can always eat just a small one. That way I can say, oh, I had 2 whole apple fritters. Okay, it looks like that one is nice and done. See how pretty that is on the sides? Now you can bring that up with the basket if you want to. I'm just going to lift it out with that spoon. Put it on my wire rack to cool. We're going to want those to cool at least 5 minutes. And while they're cooling that 5 minutes, we're going to make the topping. Okay, I think my last ones are done, and I'm just going to use the basket to kind of get them up here and let them drain for just a second. Then I'm going to put them over here on my wire rack to cool, and while they cool, I'm going to show you how to make the icing for them. Okay, we have these, they've set for 5 minutes, and they're cool enough to where you can pick them up without it being too hot. I've got 2 cups of powdered sugar. And to that, I have added 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of apple pie spice. Now, like I said, if you want to substitute that apple pie spice for a nutmeg, you can go ahead and do that. It's just, I'm not a nutmeg person. And to be consistent with the flavoring that I have in the fritter, I'm going to put the apple pie spice in the icing also. And then to that, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of spiced apple cider. It always looks like you're not going to have enough liquid on that when you start adding that to the powdered sugar, but it always stirs down and it's just right. Now this is going to have a slightly brown tint, and that's just because of the cinnamon and the spice that we've added to it. Otherwise it would be just plain old white. Okay, now these have set, and we're going to just take our spoon, and we're going to spoon a big tablespoonful over the top of them. Just kind of let it run down on the side. I've got a lot of really ugly ones here. You probably can do much better at making them turn out looking good, but to me it's just a matter of getting it in there. And you can certainly tell it's homemade when it's like this. There's a little one, I'm going to add a little to him. Now these are not a real sweet dessert, so you don't want to add a whole lot of powdery sugar to it and turn it into something that is just too sweet. kind of runs down through there. And when you bite into it, you won't know the difference, but what you've got, a nice little apple fritter from a good pastry shop. All right, thank you.